Morning, folk. I've had a request from, where is it, Sarah?
YouTube.
YouTube. This morning, on what angles I sharpen my irons at. Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't got the faintest idea what angles there are. I've been asked this question many times, and I have done videos on it in the past, I believe. But this morning, I've just checked to see roughly what angle I do sharpen them. And it appears to me it's almost dead on 30 degrees. I know this is set at 30 degrees because I'm making a plane that's set at 30. And I've checked out of the Stanley smoother, that's 30. And I've checked this out of one of my little mitre planes I made. And that's dead on 30, near enough. So I obviously sharpen all my irons freehand, but they're more or less 30 degrees. And I don't vary, as to my knowledge, on any of the irons I use. I smooth her right down to a mitre plane, it's 30 degrees. So I just show them that out. This is out of Honey Bear, one that I use most frequent of my planes. In the past, it's a second-hand iron, so it's been ground a lot less than 30, but when I've started to use it, it's 30 degrees more or less. And eventually, if you stick to one angle on all your irons, eventually when I've worn that one down to there, I'll never have to grind it again, any of these irons, because I use one bevel. So this is my Stanley plane. And what I do with all my irons, except for rebate planes, I sharpen them right angles. I don't curve any of them, not even me. Stanley number 7, Stanley 5.5, Stanley 51-52 shoot board. I do them, well, not the 51-52 shoot board, because that's at a different angle. So all my bench planes, I try to sharpen them right angles, square across, like that, and I take the corners off. So if I was to sharpen this iron, I would start off by cocking it and taking the corner off, cocking it the other way and just taking the corner off. Then I would take the burrs off. I'd only do that every, 10 sharpens, roughly. You just take a corner. Then I would freehand, I just feel for the bevel as best I can. And it just sort of comes natural to me to do them at that angle. You do that up and down a few times till you've got a burr. I can feel the burr right the way across. Place it flat on your stone with it overhanging. Bring it back so you don't trap the burr underneath before you raised it. The burr's gone now. Sarah's just reminded me to tell you that this is how I do it. I'm not saying it's right, it's what I do, and people ask me what I do, so I tell them. I think every craftsman has a slightly different way of sharpening the plane irons. A mate of mine who's died, Bob Funnell, he was taught to go up and down in a figure of 8. Well, I've tried that and I find it impossible, but he managed to do it every time and got a sharp edge. I go up and down and get a sharp edge. The reason I go up and down is because I was taught that at school. We had a man come from Stanley Plains and he showed us how to sharpen a Stanley iron. And the method I've showing you now is exactly what he showed me. So I've been up and down, I've taken the burr off, and then you can, if you want, and I do it frequently, just rest it on. If you've got a second burr, through doing it flat, that erases that. No need to do that, but I do it. And then I do that. Again, that's to take a burr off if there is one. The important thing is when you've sharpened it, I've stated this many times, but this is the bit that you know if it's sharp or not. You look at the edge and it doesn't reflect light. If it reflects light anywhere along there, that bit is blunt. This doesn't reflect light. This is sharp. I also test with my thumb, and that is very sharp. So we'll do the same with the Stanley iron. The corners are already taken off because you only do it every so many times, because once you've taken the corner off, it'll take you at least 10 sharpens to wear down to the bit you've taken off. So, exactly the same, and incidentally, if your iron is wider than your stone, you obviously slant. Well, I slant it. Again, I just feel for the bevel. It's like on my stone. And that burr goes all the way across the width of the iron. Same again, overhang it, bring it back onto the stone. I'm trying to get Sarah to try and catch the light. I can't see any light. Sarah's shaking her head, she can't. So it's sharp. Be very careful when you do this. I mean, I do it every day, so that is sharp. Right, finish off like that if you want to. Some people finish them off on a leather wheel. I don't bother because it's not necessary. I can do whatever I want with a sharp iron the way I'm showing you. It's quick and easy. So that's how I do it. I do them all the same. And it's the first time I knew I'm doing them at about 30 degrees. Now I'll show you how careful you have to be after you've sharpened it. Obviously that is sharp now and you don't want it to touch anything. If you touch metal or anything, it's partly blunt. So you place it on there, slide it clear of the back iron. I do this automatically. I find it, when I'm talking about it, it's more difficult. You just slide it down, making sure it doesn't go over the back line doesn't go over the edge, otherwise it'll blunt it again, partly. So very carefully place that in position. And that's about how much you want showing of the blade on the back iron, or a bit less, depending how fine the work is you're doing. That'll take a big shaving off. If you're only going to take very fine shaving, that could be nearer the end. Turn it over. Now this is the proper screwdriver for the job. You shouldn't use that. You can break these in time, take chips out of them. Everybody does, but you shouldn't. Place it on there, tighten it up really tight. Check to see that this is flat, and that's another thing. See, it just makes sure that they're tightened up parallel. You see the little marks on there, look, where over the years it's been caught slightly on the edge of something, but if you use the proper screwdriver, that's what it's made for. Right, now, you pick your plate up. You see that it isn't quite, the back iron isn't quite square with the cutting iron, but when you notice that, next time you sharpen it, you'll take a bit more off of that side to make it square again. Now, position that in a straight position, hold your plane like that, make sure it doesn't touch anything, you drop it in, until it sits on that. You then square it up, there's plane there, you see. I'm not touching, the blade is not touching anything. Straighten that up again, straighten that up so it's equal. Place your back iron in. Make sure that's parallel with the iron, not on a skew. It has to be parallel so that when you tighten that down, the pressure is, this is curved, the pressure of the end clamping the iron down is equal across the width of the iron. If you get that on the skew, it's not. It don't work right. So everything has to be square and tightened down. Then, to adjust it, you obviously look at, I'm looking at the iron coming out the bed. When you've got to where you think you want it, like that, you then finish it off being square to the bottom of the plane with the lever. That's somewhere about right. And you don't want a very big gap in front of the cutting iron. For doing fine work, you want it nice and tight, and I obviously adjusted this in the past so that it is set really fine. And that applies to the Norris. The Norris irons only takes thin shavings off. They're designed for high-class work. You can't, let me see, yeah, you can't adjust the mouth on a Norris iron. It's automatically set fine, extremely fine in most cases. Right. Put the iron back in the small miter plane. I'm looking at the gap, the light shining through there, holding it with my thumb. Again, you don't want to set it too near the mouth because it might catch it when you're putting the wedge in. So I've got a little bit of light showing. Then you set it just the same. You look for the irons coming out the mouth, and this time you adjust it. I just realised what's happening. You're in my light. You're exactly where I look. And you're blocking it, so I'm having to move it to left and right. See what I'm doing?